Well, it appears I've reached the tell me about the old days, Grandma stage of life, even though I'm not a grandmother. And I realized that because the other day I posted a comment somebody had on Post News. And if you're not on Post News, take a look. There are no trolls and no advertising, and it's an interesting place. Anyway, somebody had posted, I think, the cast sheet from Company, a musical by Stephen Sondheim. And so I commented that when I was living in Greenwich Village and I was in my 20s, my next door neighbor was playwright John Guare. And I wouldn't say we were dating. He had a lot of he had a lot of people, women interested in him, and I think some men as well. Although I don't know that he responded to them. He said, anyway, a friend of mine is giving a party, and I'd like you to come with me. Come on, you'll like it. Theater people, but you can't wear these jeans and your regular clothes. You have to find something different to wear. So I, called some friends and said, "Oh my God, I'm going to a party. I don't know whose it is." He wouldn't tell me whose it was. But I don't have anything to wear, and a friend loaned me a pair of black slacks, and another friend loaned me a white silk blouse, and somebody offered me a belt. That was my entire costume, and I guess I must have worn boots because it was New York. It is New York, and it was winter and it was cold. And I have no idea what I wore on top, but probably some ratty old coat I had bought at the Fur Trading Center in East Village. Anyway, so I, do my best to look decent, and I get up and we go uptown to a townhouse somewhere. And the door is opened by the actor Anthony Perkins, who's most famous for having made Psycho. And I turn to John and I whisper, who are your friends? Whose house is this? And he says, it's Hal Prince's house. We're going, it's his birthday, his 40th birthday. I went, well, even I knew Hal Prince, who he was. I was a young playwright who had been done off-Broadway, had had her work done. And Hal Prince was like, Hal Prince, he's like the biggest Broadway producer. So we go upstairs and, oh my God, I think the governor was there. And at that time, somebody named Lucy Jarvis was there. Maybe that wasn't her name. I don't know. I'm in my 80s now. But a famous broadcaster. It was just an amazing room of famous people and not so famous people, because John, although he had some plays done, was well known for being brilliant at that time. He hadn't made any money yet, but he was very, very brilliant. Nobody knew who I was. I was like, who's that girl with John? So as the evening progressed, they said Stephen was going to play his new score, his new score for a play. And he hadn't done anything in a very long time. He hadn't produced anything. So we all gathered around, and Stephen Sondheim played the score and sang parts of Company, which hadn't opened yet. It was, I don't know when it was going, it was in 1970. And I thought, wow, this is going to be a big hit. This is going to be a giant hit. This guy's going places. And I said to him when he finished, when he got up from the piano, I said, wow, that is really great. You're gonna have a really great success. And he was taken by the knowledge that I had no idea who he was, that he had already written West Side Story. And so, which was the first play I'd ever seen. I was 15 years old, and I was the first play I'd ever seen on Broadway. So we sat down, and he was very, very kind and very sweet. And he talked to me about theater and about creativity and about my plays and honesty and integrity in theater. It was really an amazing conversation, and I thought, this guy's really great. And the evening progressed, and we all were drinking. John was really drinking. And apparently John had a grudge against the writer Dan Greenberg, who wrote stories about, my Jewish mother. And he was making a lot of money. He was married to Nora Ephron at the time. You probably know her name. She's pretty, famous, although she's passed on. I don't know if fame counts once you're dead. Anyway, he grabbed him around the throat and strangled him to the floor. People had to drag him off. He was my date. He was my date. And so we got in the car, and I said, well, this guy, Stephen Sondheim, he's he was very, very nice. He said, "You don't know who he is, do you?" And I said, "No, I didn't know." He remembered West Side Story and lots of other things. I went, and I have that memory. I thought of it because of this sheet music, and I posted it, and then somebody said, you really ought to tell us more. So that's it. My tell us more story about the time I met Stephen Sondheim and had no idea who he was. And he turned out to be a lovely human being as well as incredibly talented.